I'm sorry, page Chavches. This one's I'm not sure. Simen Tov Reish Lamed Tes. Simen Tov Reish Lamed Tes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'shakim v'dorim.
What parak?
You're in the right place.
What's that? Amud is eingehen. It's different.
Tough Reish
Lamed Tes.
Lamed Tes.
Tov Reish Lamed Tes. Tini Yeshiv B'Sukkah. Sukkah is Teishu, Yeshivas Yomim. Alomdim Neshvua. Teishu Kein Tadur. Chazal said, what's up Pshat? Sukkah is Teishu. Teishu means as if you were living in the house. However, he's living in his house, his bed, his everything. His house is temporary. והרבס כלים של מים אין מצטרפים בסוכה. שעה בכל השנה אין לדברים האלה רגילים ליישם בבייס, אלא יש...
אלא בבית יש להם בית.
Yeah, especially those days, they used to have a shed. They had like a shed. So things that you keep in the shed could stay in the shed. בלי אכילה, לאחר אכילה כלן, כדיירס, כאורס, תחך אכילה מן המוסם, צריך לא יצאים מן הסוכה, וכן בלי יקד ששב במים לא יכניסם לתוך הסוכה. ולא יעשה שום תשמש בוזי בסוכה, כגון שטיפס כדיירס, כאורס, כדי שלא ימצא בזוי שלו. אבל מותר לשתף כלי השתייה, כגון קויצס, וצנציוס בסוכה, like a person takes a cup, and wants the cup to be clean, they put a little bit, puts a little bit of water and pours it out to another cup.
But you can sweep the sukkah, you can wipe the sukkah.
Yeah. Mima sukkah ketana bin ich shloch shom iskara vanel doif in sukkah oil is tachech laschach vetech lo maor vetis sukkah tzarach nechutz sukkah afilo shel zav benegem shlach nis neshel chedes afilo lo sukkah gedoyla because it's not nice. Miketz mitzvah shiv besukkah she oichel v'shoise v'yoshan v'yital v'dor besukkah. Last night we spoke about that Moed de Kesicha that the Rambam says three things. He says oichel v'yoshan v'dor besukkah, but Tov Reish Lamed Tes. Tov Reish Lamed Tes Siv Daled.
Yeah.
Okay, the mitzvah yeshiva b'sukkah. What's the mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah? She oichel. Yeah.
What you walking around in the sukkah? How big is the sukkah you walking around?
There's a beautiful tshuva I was reading today from the Avnei Neiser. The Avnei Neiser says, I don't understand how you metal in the sukkah. Exactly. The Gemara says that a sukkah that's 10 tvachim high by 7 by 7.
For children.
It's like a playhouse.
It's kosher.
Kosher. No, a normal human being can't even stand in there. You can only crouch down, and halfway laying and halfway sitting.
Midget.
Exactly.
People do the sukkah in the, the building has what is it, a fire escape?
Yeah.
They open the window and make like a little box.
Yeah, exactly. There's a shack of Italian. Anyway, but that's the mitzvah.
Yes, the cotton pot from sukkah.
Yeah. We'll talk about it soon.
Is midget considered anything wrong? There's nothing physical wrong. Just the height.
He's chayav b'sukkah. We'll talk about the next simon. Also, a pot of b'sukkah. Okay. It's funny because the Alter Rebbe Taka brings not like the Rambam. He says Yoshim b'sukkah is Taka mitzvah. It's unbelievable. I think till the Rebbe came along, I don't think it was so strong in Chabad not to sleep in the sukkah.
The Rebbe thought he used to sleep in the sukkah.
Right.
That's like leilu leil.
Right. There's even a story. There's a story. I want to tell tonight a whole bunch of stories. Why? Because Medaftach Lamanta Saper, and the first simon the Alter Rebbe says that it was a special mitzvah, man jedun der Seicha, that every time you sit in the sukkah, you should mention why you're sitting in the sukkah. That it has to be mentioned. So
We make the bochen.
So Mamela, tonight we'll talk a few stories. One of the stories for tonight is that there was a Meshorish, Yosef Mordechai, was a Meshorish by the Tzemach Tzedek, and he was called the Miyuchas. Why was he a Miyuchas? Because the Tzemach Tzedek told him to go sleep in the sukkah. So he said, sleep in the sukkah? It's freezing tonight. It's freezing. There's no way I can't sleep in the sukkah. So the Tzemach Tzedek says, a Molech is cold, a Shekorcha Baderech. But a Jew is hot. Sleep in the sukkah and you'll have Arichas Yamim. And he slept in the sukkah. In Taka, he lived to be 103. So
the Friedrich Rebbe slept in the sukkah?
no.
But did the Friedrich Rebbe sleep in the sukkah? Right.
So Mela, that he was called from then on the Miyuchas. There was a story that the Rebbe Marash, he once came into the sukkah and something wasn't going on in the kitchen, not so right. He was angry. And he walked into the sukkah and smoke was coming out of his ears, so to speak. And the Rebbe Marash said, Taka, du bist a big miyuchas, but the schach of the sukkah is not so kas. So you got to take a chill pill before you come into the sukkah. Sayyid in the sukkah, is the kedusha, the sukkah is not so kas. Okay. So last night we were talking about this. It's an unbelievable thing. The Rebbe made this, and the big thing of the Rebbe was, it's like funny. Whenever someone asks you why Chabad doesn't sleep in sukkah, if you say the real answer, it's a trap. You
can't come out of it.
You can't come out of it.
When you ask a question on the Chabad minhag, it's a trap every single time.
Right.
Ask you, is the Rebbe alive? Either you say yes or you're lying. That's their opinion.
Exactly. Not kedai to answer. It's kedai to whatever, to figure out what exactly. Trying to figure out what the person needs or wants. Anyway, it's unbelievable that the Rebbe was like not ashamed, and the Rebbe's biur that we learned last night is a biur nifla about why we don't sleep in the sukkah. It's a biur nifla. It's taka biur nifla. It's taka biur nifla. It's an unbelievable thing. It's taka. It's an unbelievable thing. One of the things, with the main nakuda that Rebbe said is because the middle Rebbe said that the person that's sitting in the sukkah is mitzvah, and why? Because he's not feeling, because there's makifim the bina. He's engulfed with the makifim the bina, and how could you sleep when there's makifim the bina? So it happens to be once. This is where I say I learned this many years ago. He asked me why Chabad doesn't sleep in the sukkah. So I told him, I learned that's the wrong thing to do. So he said, "What can that's like a phony baloney? It's in your head. The mitzvah is in your head. It's not real mitzvah." So the truth is that that's not that way. Some things in the Torah, there's a big difference. What's the oinus? If the oinus is this itself, for example, there is 3 Avedis, which is Yehorig Val Yaver.
Right.
If a person, what happens if someone was forced, Rahman al to be over one of the 3 Avedis? He doesn't get punished because he was forced. He was forced, so he was forced to kill someone. Rahman al he can't. He was forced. What happens if a person is terribly sick, and the only way he'll get healed is by killing someone? Whatever. It's the
transplant.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So your blood is better.
Yeah. So not allowed to do that, because that
Even if it's good.
I'm not talking the details now. But we see there's a difference, because when the onus is direct, when he was forced to kill someone, that's the onus is direct. He's gonna die. Now he wants to live. He'll kill someone else in order for him to live. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. Or like another halachas that I was bringing about there's a Gemara talks in the Gittin about the Sokriken. Sokriken is a whole set of halachas in the days of the Romans that they were going that were in Eretz Yisrael, and they were taking away land from the Jews. So in all kinds of fictitious ways. So like they would threaten the Yid. The Yid didn't, they were vulnerable. So they'll kill a Yid. So the Yid said, okay, take my land and there's all kinds of din about Sokrikan. The Sokrikan later goes and sells the land. So but there's a whole right. So it's a mainly in Gittin. It's also in Sanhedrin.
I had last round.
Oh, you had so the din of Sokrikan. So one of the things in Sokrikan is it's a tzedek. If the guy said he's gonna kill him unless he gives the field. So then there's he's not he's not coin in the field unless he gave money, but he gave him very little money or whatever. He's not coin in the field unless he gave him money. What's if the Sokrikon just came along and the Jew was nervous? He didn't say anything about the field. He just took a gun. He was about to kill him, and the Jew said, "Oh, you know what? Save me. So I'll give you the field." And then it's different. Then the din is slightly different. Right. But by Sukkah we don't find that. By Sukkah we find that anything that's an oinus, anything. So one of the things that for example, the din is, and I want to talk about it on Yom Tov now as time is short. But if a person a sukkah that you're not feel safe in it's not a kosher sukkah. If you can't sleep there by night because there's a listim, there's some hooligans in the street, so that's the sukkah is not kosher. Sukkah is not kosher. I want to talk about a Yom Tov barichas. I was talking, I think tonight, but we're not going to get to those halachas in the next segment. So that sukkah is not kosher.
Bodyguard outside was fun. What
Could you afford it?
Kosher?
Could you afford it? Okay. If we put a bodyguard, it isn't tight.
It's a din in the government.
And it's interesting din. The din is what happens if there's two people. One person, he's not scared. What the guy's the Schwarz will come in. I got a gun in my holster. So for him, the sukkah is kosher.
Really?
And the other guy, he's scared. He's scared. So for him, the sukkah is a apostle of sukkah. He can't even drink a cup of water there. It's a apostle of sukkah.
And this includes wild animals too?
Yeah, includes any danger. So we see from this, I want Blina the Yom Tov. I really want to talk about this, but now I'm just bringing it up as a gaburcha. We see from this that mitzvah and is specific to every person. True, we say that there is certain mitzvah, like the Ramos says, that if a person loves to sleep on a double queen bed, and the sukkah, he had a little cot. So he said, "Ma mitzvah." So he said, "No, that's not called mitzvah. That's vishagas that you have to sleep on a double queen bed. That's not called mitzvah. Mitzvah means that it's a real tzah. So first of all, so there is a concept of anine das, of a person who's like, for example, a very clean person, and the sukkah is, and they just can't stand. So there's and second of all, here's the point. The Rebbe said, and that Sikha, that every normal person, that if they just could see Makifim the Bina, they could not fall asleep for 7 days straight. The only problem is that people don't feel the Makifim the Bina.
Only they have a good sense.
That people don't feel the Makifim the Bina. But if you could feel the Makifim the Bina,
You don't want to sleep.
there's no that Shayach, a Yid should sleep. It's impossible. A cow, a goat, a sheep. A Yid, a Neshama, it's impossible to sleep when he feels Makif from the bin. It's impossible.
If you make ishtadlut.
Impossible. Impossible.
It's like
you're
not in home.
Impossible. Impossible. So that's why this is not stam an oinus. This is really again, I'm saying it seems clear that by onus of the sukkah is specific to a person. Elamai, the only thing is if it's a mishagas in your head, you like to sleep on a double queen bed, so that's not called mitzvah. But if it's a normal thing that some people would be mitzvah, and you're from those people that are mitzvah, so that mitzvah is part of sukkah. It's specific to every person. If there's mosquitoes in the sukkah, and I'm the type of person that the mosquitoes won't bite me, I could sit here. There's another person, and the mosquitoes are right away bite them up from head to toe. They walk out of the sukkah and 100 mosquito bites. That person is part of my sukkah. I'm chai b'sukkah. It's a capella, but that's the way it is.
In the Gavra.
It's in the Gavra. Because why? Because the whole tour of why is it potter to sit when you're mitzvah? Tosfos says because teishu came to duru. It's a din and teishu came to duru. You have to live the way you would regular live. It's every person is different. The rule of thumb is when would you walk out of your house and just book yourself a place in the hotel? Every person's different. Some person's a tiny leak in the thing. That's it. He's walking out of his house. I don't care. I'm not sitting in a house where there's a leak. There's another person, Saget and Mishtan, there's a leak shmik. I'm not leaving my house.
Put under, and that's it.
And that's it. So it's mitzvah is totally. So the Rebbe's word is that, but this makif and the bina, what kind of yid? The yid would, if a yid could feel makif and the bina, he could never fall. Every yid would be mitzvah. Elamai, he's not feeling makif and the bina. Anyway, that's the husband. So the answer is that it is taka mitzvah. It's just very hard to explain to someone what kind of mitzvah. They're thinking that this is you cooked up a psanarishkeit, and but that's the truth is that's the word. It's mitzvah. By the way, stam something that came to my mind. The Rishonim say that Bruno Shulchan and the Mordechai that the Hamoinam was not noyuk to sleep in the sukkah. Elamai the medaktik and mitzvahs used to sleep in the sukkah. The Rebbe doesn't even quote this in the sukkah because the Rebbe.
Where is this Rishonim?
Yeah, the Mordechai it's brought in Sif Sif Tov Reish Lametes in the Shulchan Aruch and Sif Dalet. But the medaktik not here. He doesn't bring it out. The Rebbe doesn't bring it. But the Ramah brings it. But the medaktikim. Well, actually, maybe the Rebbe does bring it. We'll see soon. Oh yeah. He brings it in Sif Tes from the Mordechai. The medaktikim they do sleep in the sukkah. The Rebbe's view. So I'm bringing it up. It seems like
What's medaktik mehadrin?
Yeah, like
Go over.
Yeah, but it seems takazoy that it was, but the Rebbe doesn't want to take that as a hezber because that's not the hezber that Rebbe is looking for. That's why the Rebbe in the Sikha says that we see the Frierdiker Rebbe was mitzvah himself even not to drink a little bit of water even when it was difficult for him out of the sukkah. So that's why the Rebbe came up with this whole hezber of akifim the bina. Okay, let's read.
So many mitzvahs. No other mitzvah the Prophet came up with the idea. Oh, it's not poto. Let's say the child is calling.
Right.
Start from metal is poto. Why don't you put the sukkah?
Right, because there it's because Teishu continued to do that. It's a special thing. Ketzim it's issue Sukkah. Sheyoichel b'sheitz v'yashom metal v'dar b'sukkah. Kol shivas yamim ben b'yam ben malal k'der sh'dar b'beis b'shar kol alu ma'is hashana. V'im hu tzarech l'saper m'chaver l'saper m'b'sukkah. Kol shlev l'olam yidam ha'adam sukkot sekilu beis. Kol davar shlo yoyse chutz l'beis lo yatz chutz l'sukkah. V'ikol kol shivas yamim tzarech likro v'lilmud b'teich l'sukkah l'ken koyre v'lam b'beis medrash. V'meiv medaklik shlam yochel l'ilmud chutz l'sukkah. If it's better for him to sit in outside in the backyard, not in the sukkah, he's mutter. It's interesting words from the Alter Rebbe, and you're going to see it later again. The Avnei has a whole pilpul about this. You say the Shein Adam Mitzvah when I ask him to take a shake. They lay shub basic kvius. Immechuv letroyach. They lay shub sukkah bekvius. Bottom line, if it's a big tircha for you to schlep your svarim from your house to your sukkah back and forth, and it's not just you're learning one gemara. You're looking in, many svarim, and it's whatever, 30 svarim, 20 svarim. and it's a big tircha for you, so you're potter. Obviously, you're allowed to do it, but I'm saying you're potter. Espal yishlem menucha besukkah yuchel espal shema kamon atzarech likonas l'sukkah espal shebishari moitz hashana sheinem espal basic ness nichnas lebesim espal medvar mono makim shein shem basic ness sheef shalei basic ness and ef shalei basic ness is yelach I'm sorry espal besukkah. If he could go to shul, but if he's anyway going to daven at home, he should daven in the sukkah. Mavdel ala koisterek l'konas l'sukkah lahavdel sharei b'shari moitz hashana. Ich will bei Salahavdel schon öffnen, ich will es Arich kurz zu suchen. Aber also Lishna finished in es Arich kurz zu suchen. Lefische Beschine, ein Lefalak bin Ara Lekevish, Lefom eine Menamna, Maat, Vedaya Bekar, Fikar, Zuish in es Kevish, Shachayv Lekonas, Lesukkah Beshvila. You can eat temporary out of the sukkah, you can't sleep temporary. So some people have hour sleep, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and that's good enough for them.
Davening. There's a shul that has a big sukkah.
Right.
I'm equipped to go daven in the sukkah or to daven in the shul. They're both comfortable.
They're both.
Sukkah,
sounds like it's better in the sukkah. Minig Yisrael is not that way. There's a whole shaklatari about it. It sounds like it would have been better in the sukkah.
If you say you have to do everything in the house like you do sukkah, you should be davening.
I said Minig Yisrael takanish even shuls that have nice.
Yeah, the question is why.
How strong is it? Meaning, if I get there at 7:25 and the inside minyan is starting at 7:30, and the outside minyan in the sukkah started at 7 o'clock. Which one should I take if I have a meeting?
Yeah, go inside. Then we see that's the Minig Yisrael. In places, countries that are very cold, and it's a tsar, and he doesn't have enough pillows and blankets to cover himself. B'shas achilo lazach nisim beis hashina b'tirch yiserim b'tara b'tirch yadu. Again, the Alter Rebbe likes this word. Bin yashim oyeloi tirch gezu lishim b'beis alo yashim b'beis amen tzarach lishim b'sukkah shkol matzar b'yeshiva b'sukkah plata mishavasa k'mo sheyizbor b'sim taf reishmem. If this guy is it's cold. It's in New York. It's cold. So
Not this year, but
not this year, right? If he's gonna have to bring korban mitzvos, I mean, he has a small sukkah, and every time he's gonna have to pack it up, bring it into his house, and it's a big headache for him. That's already called a tirch. And he's pot.
Used to ask the boy to take the broom and took out the snow.
You see that's the lashon of the Ramotake. It's funny. I see in the footnote here he writes Minik Chabad she'en yishenim b'sukkah, and it's a funny lashon because they asked once the Rebbe at the meal. The Rebbe said he wouldn't write Minik Chabad is not to sleep in sukkah. He wrote in the Minhagim that's Minik Chabad not to make noise sukkah, even though it's Beferish Gemara. The Rebbe had Ezra for it. We'll talk about it when we get there. But the Rebbe said he would never write such a lashon that's Minik Chabad not to sleep in sukkah. It's only that the Mittel Rebbe said that Vika Mishlofen in the Makifim the Bina, but not that it's very interesting. Like the Rebbe never wanted to write these words. It's Minik Chabad not to. What do you mean? It's Adin in the Torah.
Yeah.
It's Adin Shekolor. What do you mean? It's not. It's V'achshe no goelim lahokol b'shina sheini sheini b'zokar akim dak mitzvos. V'yesh lam l'schus. Mishan asa isha shechayev l'sameh. It's funny, the Alter Rebbe brings a little bit schus. The Shulchan Aruch brings 2 limud schus, and it's funny that he brings the other one. The first limud schus the Shulchan Aruch says that is because in Europe it was very cold. Russia very cold. Most European countries where the Jews live were very cold. Sukkah is
So in November,
yeah, they didn't have so much korban mitzvos today. You could get to they were aniyim and they couldn't. They would sleep in the sukkah. They would get sick.
Today they put heat.
So they could put sick and get korban mitzvos, but that's one limit schus. That's interesting. The Alter Rebbe brings a different limit schus. ויש למדה להם זכות למי שנושא איש שחייב לשמח זה שתביא רגל. לא שכתורס מנעסוק. ואם כן, אם אין אלוהי צלוף רשמישן מיקרי דבר מצווה חלה עסק ומצווה פוטר מצווה אחרת כמו שיסבור בסמת הרשמי. אוקיי, פוטר. שינה בסוכה בלילה, אפילו אם יש תאינה תוירה, בכל מקום שייך שמחה, כשבעל מסיח נמה בחדר אחד. כמו שכזבנו, כל מקום טוב להך משאיר לסוכה מיוחד, שיוכל איש ששרים מישתה וקיים שתי מצווה. So the limit schus is that it's very hard to sleep in the sukkah with your wife. So therefore they're sleeping in the house in order to be with their wife. הנויסה בסולה שניים שלושים קודם החג, והנה שנמש חשיבה ימי המשתה שלו בתוך החג. והביאו בחג עד מנויסה משה. ויום ראשון שנהגים שכל שבעים המשתה מסייחתם מחוסן הקהל בחדר מיוחד, ואין שמענו נכנס אצלם. רק וישר אצלם שמח המלאכה ולשזמן, וזה אחרי נקרא חופר, חוסן הששמנו חוב בני חופר, תן אויסם, נשמע שייך. אם החוסן פטורים ממסוק, כל שבעים המשתה מותר לך, ולשזמן שמח חוץ הסוק. חדר נקרא חופר, לפי שף של שמח קרא בתך הסוק, שאין נקרא שמחה אלא בחופר, שהיא כישיבס חוסן וקהל. In those days, they used to like build a room. That was the chuppah with the chazan kala were there for 7 days and 7 nights. Makim shem siachtem shem yev shlas ikke yeshivas chazan kala b'tach sukkah. Kol sukkah ein la rak sholosh tvona is a prutz v'rach revi is a boisha machosen l'sachikim kalosai. Has to be a private place. So therefore it was considered oitzig a mitzvah and potam and a mitzvah. Achein achshu sheneng latzas arbe mechitzas the sukkah. So afa chazan chayiv b'sukkah. فأمرنا شموت الله خلا خلص عاري خلص السوكة كم خلص عاري كبيتة شكين در خدم ليتن بام أخلص مالي بيف خلص لبيسة مالي بيف وكبيتة شين بيسة بليل ما أخذ كيسم كبيتة كبيتة so how much is a kibetza is a question that's one of the temporary it's bloody temporary
like a snake.
pass also مخميش meaning وتعرفش لخميس meaning شو meaning أخو ما تصير خميس meaning بيرس بيلا يخدم هاربة في البيس so I'm going to خلص السوكة Squeeze minimum elan chshuv ala kachilas arish shall pass. But pass bread or cake or kasher or lokshin, you could only eat kabetza, or less than a kabetza. But if you're going to eat more than a kabetza, it has to be in the sukkah. Mutter lishtes kol mashkan chutz sukkah. Fila yain, fila shoyes yes. Vis kol mashkan lishtes chutz sukkah. Kol maimer is meshuvah. Murder on shoyes derech Arav nun kaves atzim lishtes yain. Shar mash derech koy kalmei dvash shecher beer. Wenn es selber schon gehen koidam zerach kann es tach sukkah. Aber dann zerach lavorach leisha besukkah. Fish shtia hitfeila lachila. וברכס לאישה בסוק שברך על אכילה שחריס היא פטרס ושתי שכל היום וכן היא פטרס סוכינה בטיל בסוק כל היום. The bracha לאישה בסוק on the food that patters all the other things in the sukkah, the shina, the teal. שאין צריך לברך למה אפילו יוצא חוץ לסוכה, לאחר אכילה להפסק הרי ונאכילה להשליע בשינה בטיל. בכל מקום שכולם נמשכים מתפעל לאכילה שעיקר מצס ישיבה בסוכה, פרחס אכילה פטרסן, אפילו שויסה ויושר מטל פלם אכילה, אין צריך לברך שתפעלם לאכילה של אחרים. So the bracha on the akhila takes care of everything else. Ima kavui l'shtia, next step. Ima kavui l'shtia b'sukkah, v'nim l'chalechel, ba'afa b'shalo yitzarech levarech leisha b'sukkah l'shtia, shefi shevich tzachila shelefana petrasa, if we begin tzarech levarech leisha b'sukkah l'achila zu acharana, she'en achila zu tfeila l'achila l'rishayna. The other things a person does are not so important. The ikar kviyas of a person where he lives is where he eats. We see that Lagabi Edovin I was mentioning last night, that if he wants to be keveya mokum, he sends a guy 2,000 hama and he puts down his bread. The ikar kviyas of a person, where his mind is, where his bread is, where his food is. So the other things are tough. He made a very leisha basukah, but if he ate now a second meal, so he has to make again leisha basukah. Shuv if not, so other mukshiyotza men asukah. Bingmar achila rishayna, scholas achila achroin. Sho chutz l'sukah v'lechozel ha'alta. Ela la'achar shto shtayim. That's if he went out of the sukkah. He went out of the sukkah, and he was away. We once spoke about it. Barichas. What's the show? Shtayim. Because stam suda could be a show. Some people are marvelous at also shtayim. I feel him chazal alter. Basically, you have to judge how long does it take you to eat a lunch or supper. If you went out of your sukkah fast that long, that's called a hefsek, and when you go back, you have to make again leisha v'sukkah. Filim chazal la'alta, l'shor sheyotz ma'asukkah, daita l'shas harba chutz l'sukkah, b'shlav l'sukkah la'alta. Shazan abroch shberech alachil l'shayim b'teres achil achanat b'shes onam yitzig gemora b'shlav zar li'alta. So either or. So if you went out, the sukkah said, I'm leaving. When I'm coming back, I don't know. Tomorrow I'm coming back to the sukkah. 2 minutes later, you say, you know what? I want to have another cookie. Again, leisha v'sukkah, second time. But if you're saying, no, I'm going into my house to get another cookie. So you don't make another leisha b'sukkah. But what happens if you went into the house to get another cookie, you get a phone call, and you start talking. And now, a long time went by. So you have to, if it's a shosh time, you have to make again the bracha. We once did a barichas, but the Rebbe says, what is shosh time? Shosh time, what's a shosh time?
Or one or
You went into going to the store. How much is the acidic? $100 or $200. It's 100 or 200.
Depends what you look like.
Exactly. Depends. Who's buying. Is that the way it is, Moshe? No, Moshe is the expert.
You're saying it's like
Yeah. So we'll get an hour or two. The Rebbe's chiddush is that it's totally really new. Some people, it's mashma in the Gemara, it takes them an hour to eat a suda. But some people, amarach b'sudasa. Sounds from the Rebbe, they're really calling you. How long does it take you to eat supper? So if your supper is a half hour, you went into your house to get another cookie, and you end up being on the phone for a half hour, and you come back to the sukkah with the cookie in your hand, you have to make a second time leisha b'sukkah.
Once you Masech that, that's it.
So Mesiach Das, even a minute. But the other one, even if you're not Mesiach Das, when you went outside, as long as it takes you to eat a meal, and you came back, that's considered already Hesach Das. So either or. If you went a route Hesach Das, 30 seconds, you make again leisha b'sukkah. If you went out and you're planning to come back a minute later, Elamah, you got. So then you judge, how long does it take me to eat a meal? It takes a half hour. 31 minutes later, okay, I make again leisha b'sukkah. Who called Zanya with Techasukim? Lo Yotzmani Tzig Gemur Shalaz Alta in Tzar Lamar Lev Shekam Pamishay. The guy is sitting in the sukkah for 7 days, 7 nights. And this is
one water.
it's a big pilpul about this. This is that he's showing him. This is machlok. Anyway, me and you are not doing this. None of us are. So it's impossible. Okay.
You go out to the bathroom.
Yeah. What if you walk into another? I feel about is a chutz. Smoch on the sukkah shvido v'chila rishayna k'shaloy tzalach b'sukkah zu davish os lach chutz sukkah tzar los alvar chlesh b'sukkah. I feel b'inyan shim b'inyan shen tzar alvar b'sanen al achila zuk. Gan shu oimid v'emtz sudose. Shachal b'sudah shebera b'pesach sudose v'alach lach b'sukkah acheret tzarach lach zer lavar. Person washed, and he had in mind it's going to be mamshach to eat here, there, and everywhere. And then he went to Schava Sukkah to go in, and they gave him a shtikol challah. He gave him a cookie, or whatever it is, something that you're not allowed to eat chutz l'sukkah. So he makes, even though he doesn't make again amoitzi, he doesn't make again b'yrim in a mezainos. V'aleisha b'sukkah machte nachamo. Afilu mein roitzelach l'b'sukkah zu al shenichnas. Okay, a new halach. Tesva. Sure. Afilu mein roitzelach l'b'sukkah zu al shenichnas l'toich elishan l'tayel. Tzarech lavarach leisha b'sukkah shen shina matil b'sukkah n'tanu b'sukkah shebena b'sukkah acheres. Lichtnas will tegen lechel me machal shmot lachel chutz ein tzarech lavarach. If you walked in and you're going to eat, you're going to have a cup of oranges, you're going to eat an apple. So then you don't make a leisha b'sukkah. The meroitza lekoyes atzma shom lishtus yaim v'shar mashkin shter lekoyes la me'adin tzarech lavarach she'osa l'shter sechut b'sukkah. Kol meshiyesh mefak v'kin al bracha zu. Nochen ado b'shlo lekoyes atzma v'shtir rak b'sukkah shachal ba'ayoyim u'berech la leisha b'sukkah.
Why does it make a bracha if he's sleeping there? If we don't make a bracha on his own sukkah.
No, he's saying yeah, he does, because if he goes in, because we say that the sleeping or the tiul is nimshach after the leisha b'sukkah and the eating, but if he's not going to eat.
What if I was go into my sukkah the first night sukkahs and I go to sleep straight? I'm tired, taking a nap before I have a sukkah.
So it's mashma that the napping is going to retroactively be. It's mashma that way from what he said before, whatever. Yeah, it's not mashma. He said clearly. The last line is if you debate. Fila shoysum v'yoshin metal kodem achila entzach alavoshem tefillin lachila shel acherein.
We actually did the
Over here,
bracha
there's not eating later on that sukkah. So
Right.
we actually did the bracha leisha b'sukkah right after the kiddush.
The first night, second night, the first night we went to leisha, and then the other way.
But the
around.
point is right away.
Yeah, no, he's saying what happens if he's going to come the first night of sukkah? He's exhausted. As I like tzachavek on the couch in the sukkah. So if it was the second night or a cholamoyed, Kenzain, you're not eating, you're not in the mood of eating. You just want to sleep. So Taka, you'd make a bracha leisha b'sukkah.
really, even if it's not nimshach in the morning.
So every day would be different. But the first night of sukkah is you have to eat. It's to eat. Pass and also in the sukkah. So the Yavada going to eat later. So the later the brocha is going to cover this. Let's one more sif. So just to summarize, we have a few. So
Because some people have a sleeping sukkah, so the fire has to make another bracha.
they have to, yeah. If they have a sleeping sukkah, they're going to have to make another brocha. They have a sleeping sukkah, they have to make a brocha. So the Alter Rebbe holds that the word, and we spoke yesterday, different pshatim, but the Alter Rebbe paskins lamaisa that the brocha of the achila paters, the shina, the shtiya, the tiyu. But if you're just gonna go in for shina, you have to make a bracha l'shubasukah. Then what happens if a person walks again? Let's summarize. So if a person walks out of the sukkah, if I wasn't planning to come back in 1 minute to walk out, walk back, I have to make again l'shubasukah. If I was planning to come back in, but I got carried away, so I have to judge how long does it take me to eat a meal, and if I waited more time than that, I have to make a leisha basukah. Im shochich levarach leisha basukah ad shegamar sudosi. Levarach lachas sudosi. Lafa bisha kol ha-mitzvah tzarich levarach l'mayel sudosi. Makom ha-kane gama yeshiva sheisha basukah achar asud gam kem kol ha-mitzvah. Im kene gem levarach v'edam asiyas ha-mitzvah. It's not. Usually, once you finish the mitzvah, you can't make a bracha now. But here, sitting in the sukkah is also mitzvah. Elamai saying the main thing of a person is the achila. So once I made bracha d'achila, it patas the sitting after and even retroactively the sitting before. Okay, but I forgot. No, I finished eating, and I don't want to eat anymore. Doesn't matter. I make now. So it's like a chiddush. Bichsan and tak it's a machloikis, and we're noyeg that we don't suffer brachas. If you finished eating and you didn't make a bracha, the only way you can make a bracha now is to eat a little more. Alagabi leishav sukkah, no. Listen, you don't want to eat anymore, you have to force yourself to eat anymore. Make now leishav sukkah again. Like, isn't the sukkah? Make leishav sukkah. Okay, let's make a little bit. There's it's a mitzvah to sit in the sukkah with the children. And to do. And it's a machzidim for Masach bringing in the sukkah. The Rebbe said that the Tzemach Tzedek used to verbring all nights in the sukkah. Samach Besashevi verbring. There was once. There's a beautiful Hayom Yom. The Hayom Yom, first day of Sukkot, it says that Tzemach Tzedek said that his Zayda said a maimer, Shafta maimer sosen, and he said he said it many times. Agav Urcha, the Rebbe once at a meal said that neither loy that Yadua, the Rebbe brings it in Hayom Yom, that every one of the Chabad Rebbeim had a few maimonim that they would say over and over. There was no chidushim. They would say it many times. There was zero chidushim. They just said it l'tayres avi. It was something that was every Rebbe had 2-3 maimonim that he would chazah many times. The Rebbe says neither that this is maybe one of the maimonim that Alter Rebbe because it sounds like there was no chidushim in it, and even though there was no chidushim in it, and the Tzemach said he heard it 6 times, but it was like when we heard it. It was like Yoina ben Amitai, just like Yoina ben Amitai was Zoicha to the Nevuah by going into the Beis HaMikdash, Simcha the Beis HaSheva, K'mavur b'Medrashim Azoya. That also, when we heard the Maimer, we took from this Hoyt Ein Soif. It's unbelievable like Yom Yom. That's a Yom Yom. Read a Yom Yom. And the Rebbe spoke about it many times. The Rebbe said that this story is not Stam a story, it's Kipshutoi. Someone asked the Rebbe if it was mitzad the simcha or mitzad the mokim or the zman. So the Rebbe said it couldn't be the mokim. It's not mokim hamikdash. It couldn't be the simcha. It's not the stava that Shas the Alter Rebbe was saying in Maimon people were dancing. That wasn't the style of the Alter Rebbe. So it must be because of the number one, because the Alter Rebbe gizog the Maimon, and also the zman of zman simcha seinu. So. The Rebbe had an unbelievable koch in the union of Simchas Beis HaSheva.
He didn't want to say it was all free.
No, he said it's not mitzad Simcha, it was not mitzad the Mokim, it was mitzad the Zman, and mitzad the Indian that it came from the Alter Rebbe. So, the Rebbe spoke about this all the years, like the Rebbe's koch in Simchas Beis HaSheva was unbelievable. It was Dovak Voder that to the Rebbe gehalten, that he goes to Simchas Beis HaSheva, that has to do with being shoyev ruach hakodesh. So whatever. I mean, first of all, we're making Simchas Beis HaSheva over here. Hopefully tomorrow the posters will go up. We're making Simchas Beis HaSheva. So The Monday night, yeah. So parents will soon send out the email. So we're going to start with a children's program. We have here 2 fire jugglers. Then we're going to have the dancing and the Shmuel. Oh, good. Take this. Tomorrow, this guy's coming here putting out the signs anyway. And then we'll have a fabrengen at the end. I think it's clear that it's free. It doesn't say for charge.
As once you have something for the children, it's free, but it's a whole bunch.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's the first thing.
The Rebbe's father has anything to say on this?
A lot. But tonight I want to stick to stories.
Curious.
Okay, so this is going to be considered story number 1. Story number 2. Story number 2 is one of my favorite stories. I have to wait 2-3 years before I can tell it to my children again on Sukkot. But I think this is mamish my favorite story. The story, huh?
This could be the Rav's minor.
Yeah, this is like a story that I love the story. I tell it again and again. It's just a beautiful story. The believe it's a Bedichever that he couldn't find an esrik, and he was in such tsar. He was in such tsar. It was unbelievable tsar that he didn't get an esrik. And he asked people to go Prosha's walking to find. They found that there's a person out of Sukkot. He's traveling and he has a little bit of but he didn't want to stop. He's in a hurry. They said, "There's a tzaddik." Okay, they brought him to the Rebbe Yitzchak. Rebbe Yitzchak said, "If you stay here, whole city will be making a bracha on your lulav and esek." So it's a big schus. He said, "Schus shmus." He doesn't want schus. He wants to go home. He wants to be with his wife and children for Yom. So the Rebbe Yitzchak said, "What do you need? I give you a bracha. You want a child? You want money?" He says, "I just want to get going. Please let me go." So the Rebbe Yitzchak sees the guy is so serious. He says, "How about Imi b'mechitz? He'll be with me in Gan Eden." So there's a soicher. He said, "Yeah, if I get it in writing, and then I'm in." So the Rebbe Yitzchak didn't hesitate. He gave it in writing. After the person had decided he's staying, the Rebbe Yitzchak asked that they should find him a nice latsanya. Someone took him in for Yom Tov. When the guy left, and the Rebbe Yitzchak asked the shamash to go media everyone in town, no one should dare have him in the sukkah. If he wants to eat in a sukkah, he has to go to the Rav, to the Rebbe Yitzchak, and he can eat in the Rav sukkah, but he can't. No one should let him. Okay. The night of the Leilis Kaddish Achag, he wants to eat in the sukkah. They tell him, "Sorry, shum ponim for that. We made in your room. We put the wine, challah, and everything, but in the sukkah you can't come." They're nuts, crazy. Okay, he's going to another year. They're going to argue with him. Every sukkah that he said, "What's wrong?" They said that Ovid Gehasen. So he goes to the Rav's house. So and he's upset. And Rebbe Yitzchak says, "Why are you so upset?" I said, "You can't. That's honest. You can't eat in the sukkah. It's fucking honest. Above Maisa. You said this. I want to eat in the sukkah." Okay, you know what? I want to make a deal with you. You give me back the oil haba, and then you could come in the sukkah. So the person is like, this is crazy. So, but he says to himself, "No, what's going to talk?" He got tricked ahead, but he wants to eat in the sukkah for his night. And Aiden is very nice, but he has to do mitzvah. So he said to Rebbe, "It's fine." Rebbe says, "Okay, I want the paper back." So he brings back the paper, and Rebbe says, "Okay, good. Now you can grab him." And that was it. After Yom Tov, when he was about to leave, Rebbe Yitzchak asked they should call him. He wants the person came. Rebbe Yitzchak said, "I have to tell you something. That I did this to you. But you have to realize that a person is in Gan Eden, a place that doesn't belong, he's uncomfortable. I guarantee. I told you that you're going to be in Mechitzosi, but what happens if you're going to be in Mechitzosi, but you're not going to be comfortable because you don't really deserve it?" So Yossi had such an asylum that you're going to have Gan Eden, and you were willing to give away your whole Gan Eden, your whole Olam Haba, just to sit in the sukkah, to have the mitzvah of eating in the sukkah the first night. So now you deserve it. You'll be imam mechitzos, and now you earned it. Okay, at least one more Maisa. Rabbi Kusil Green. Rabbi Kusil Green is a Choshev Yid, Machaber of 300 Svarim. Allah Shalom, right? He was for Chabad, right? For Chabad.
My neighbor.
Oh yeah. So a lot of times when I give shurim and say Sananim, I like to slug him up, but doesn't matter. He wrote a lot of nice Svarim, and he was a Choshev Yid. Anyway, he told the story like this. I'm just telling over the story of a Kitzer, but it's just a beautiful story. 50 years ago, there was Yom Kippur War, and after Yom Kippur, it was an unbelievable blow, Rahman al-Islam, to Tzahal, and it was tough. It was tough. It didn't finish in a day. It was nimshach for a very long time.
3 weeks.
It was nimshach, and then so he said there was he gets a call out of Sukkot. He was already getting ready for Yom Tov. It's out of Sukkot in the morning. They called him from Kfar Chabad that in the south there is a few army bases, and the army had called. They said that the morale is terribly low. It's 5 days in the war. The morale is terribly low, and they wanted to know if a couple of Chabad guys want to come. So especially guys that are in the Miluyim, that anyway
They have to make the service.
so they asked him if he'd be willing to go. He said, yeah. Took his lulav and esek, and like another couple of Babich Chaver, they went to Tel Aviv, and they got on a plane, which was mainly doctors and other personnel that were going to the base. They decided, even though they were Miluyim, but they're going to come with a kapota. They said, if we're going to come dressed up as soldiers, who's going to notice us? But they were invited to come. There's not stop. They were invited to pick up the morale. So they came with whatever they could, and they built a Sukkah for Yom Tov, and then and the next morning they went around. The hundreds and hundreds of soldiers were shaking Lulav and Esek, giving chizuk. They went into there was a room where they had where pilots were hanging out, coming and going, and there were two pilots. They were playing shesh besh. They were playing, and Kasil Green says, "No, Chag Sameach. Maybe you guys want to make a brocha on the lulav and esrog." So one of the soldiers says, One of the top pilots says, "I'm about to go out. I'm probably going to die." He says, "My whole life, my whole life, I didn't believe in Judaism, and you tell me now I should." So Rabbi Yisrael Green says, when you shake the lulav and esrog, you're shaking off the Egyptians, you're shaking off the enemy. They say, "Okay, you know what?" The two pilots said, "Okay, yeah." Chabadnik asked, "We'll do it." They did the brocha, they did nanuyim, and they went out on the next mission. In the meantime, there were rockets flying, and then they going into bunkers, coming out. The bottom line is, a few hours later, there was a whole thing of planes that came back to the base, and everyone came out, and they were like making a thing as they were coming back, and everyone was clapping. So I asked them, what happened? Why are they clapping? They said that this is the first time since the war broke out that a whole thing of planes came, and all five came back alive. So everyone was clapping. It was so a soldier got on to PA and said, "We want to thank the Chabad because the lulav and esrog. That's why it happened, because the lulav and esrog." Okay. This is Kainti Alonu. We should shake off all our enemies and this fuss of. Okay, we'll leave it at this. At least we have two. So we have the story that Tzemach Tzedek, Ruach Kodesh, Levi Yitzchak Baditchever, and the story of Yikosir Green. So it's a shaykhs this year, 50 years of this of the Yom Kippur War.
There was another guy, by his name is Freiman. It was in Suez Canal on Sukkot, and he asked a semi-tractor trailer to come back to Vanessa. So he said, "I can't." So why you can't? He said, "Because I had a flat tire before, and my truck is full with the mission to give it to the tanks, and my hand is black. So come with me. There's a truck over there, like 50 feet away, and wash your hand. Tell you what, eventually, so go back to your truck. He said, fine. Get it from the truck. You walk with him. Boom. You wash this. As you make the brocha, a rocket came and hit right where you were sitting, right there. And this thing was explode because it was full with gas. He fly, the Esrog fly, there was no noise, like everything. But the bottom was alive. And he wrote the Rebbe one story. And the Rebbe said, Esrog savior.
Chaim l'chaim.
He said in this.
Okay. Now we got an extra story. We got now four. Four sudas. Shkoyach.
He said in the story what kind
Sure, thank you.
plan was it? Garage or content?
I'll make a copy of the thing and I'll send it to you.
No, but probably the seven. Ah,
That was an amazing story. That's what we love. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Are you going to tell it over in the sukkah?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
By the way, does the Rebbe have any stories about the War of